So I think everybody who's joining is there now. So I think we'll start. The new product that we're launching is a 2-day course called Value Streams and the PMO. Let me just tell you, for those of you who perhaps might have kind of seen this but not quite sure who I am and who we are. So my name is Eileen Roding. I'm one of the founding directors of PMO Learning. I have to say, we're not just here to kind of manage the operation. Myself and Lindsay, who's also on, set up this organisation because as PMO practitioners ourselves, we were really concerned about the provision of PMO training that was focused particularly at PMO, the people who work in the PMO. And so we set up PMO Learning about 5 years ago now, to be the specialist provider of PMO education, training and coaching to help individuals and organisations get the best from their PMO. And one of the things that we're very strict about and we're very keen to impress upon anybody who attends one of our courses is that any of the trainers that you will get who deliver training for PMO Learning, they will all be PMO practitioners. So they will either be currently or previously have managed PMOs in their life. So you've got some people who have a real understanding. So they're not just people who've delivered projects and programs, they're people who've actually kind of been there, seen it, done it. And for a lot of our trainers, and including the trainer who's going to be delivering this course, are actually still working in PMOs. So recognise the current situation. You know, it's not people who've just had experience 20 years ago, it's current up-to-date experience of PMOs that are out there and working at the moment. So today's session is about 45 minutes, really just to introduce any potential learners, delegates to this new course, Value Streams and the PMO. So it's not just like all of our courses, it's not just a generic course, it's specifically for people who are working in PMOs, and it will be tailored to your to that perspective. So I just want to tell you a little bit about where this course has come from, because I think it adds some credibility to the course and also the delivery. Now, the course was designed and is going to be delivered by John Ward. Now, for those of you who have been on our Lean Agile course, you will recognise John's face. He also has spoken at a number of the PMO conferences. He has been in and around the world of Agile since right back really till it started taking off 2007. And he's a trainer for us. He currently works in PMOs doing agile transformations. He's also the author of a number of books, 2 of which I've demonstrated there. He's recently, he's just coming to the end of a piece of work with a large global bank where he's done an agile transformation for over 6,000 people within their IT function. So obviously he's kind of, he's seen some of the challenges, he's used value streams in earnest. And the interesting bit is as well is, you know, kind of I've had lots of kind of conversations about John about, is it only relevant for the IT functions? And actually the way the course is structured is actually demonstrates how we can use some of those kind of principles when we're looking at what the PMO does and how the PMO delivers their services. So John has written the course and he'll be delivering it. So as I say, if you've seen him on the Lean Agile course, you'll know his delivery style is a whole lot of fun, but has a wealth of knowledge and experience to help you understand and apply what the course is about. So I wanted to just kind of take a bit of a step back about why value streams are important to the PMO. Why is it something that we should look at? And I think it's important to recognise, even though at the moment there's lots of conversations for a couple of perspectives. One, because of all of the work that's happening around Agile, but secondly, in terms of moving from project management to product management in organisations, this concept of value streams and value tends to be in the media a lot more, in the kind of project and program management press an awful lot more. And so, but it's not a new concept. Value streams have been around for years. They've been looked at through lean management. They're also, in terms of back to some of the kind of the business models, or the Porter model all talks about value streams. So this is not a new subject area, though I think it's been applied more practically now in PMOs. Value streams in themselves are there to help us understand how value is actually produced in an organization. And what we mean by that is it allows us to do a graphical representation of all of the people and processes and software that are used to deliver products and services for our customers. So if we want to understand, kind of how is it a customer gets what we do, and how does that kind of give value to the customer, obviously delivers profit and customer value customer share, and getting more customers to us, revenue to us. It's really important to kind of understand that kind of end-to-end way of delivering that value to the end customer. And when we talk about value streams, there is a well-developed set of metrics that allow us to understand how value flows through that value stream. And obviously it'll talk about kind of where there are kind of obstacles in that flow that kind of stop it. Some things are where there might be a bottleneck and things take an awful lot of time to kind of flow through that. And the idea is that you will use the metrics to have a smooth flow, so value can be developed effectively and efficiently for our customers, and therefore bringing revenue and benefit to our organization or even kind of department. So the whole kind of concept of value streams, as I said, is not new, and the idea is that we can use this concept in PMOs. Now, has anybody recognize the term customer journey? People know that concept. So these tend to be kind of interactions of where the customer, how the customer feels, and what the interactions are with the organization as they go through getting what they want from the provider. So that can be an internal customer, or it can be an external customer. And I just think there's an important kind of differentiation to explain the difference between value streams versus customer journey, so we're very clear on kind of where the focus is for this particular course. The customer journey is very much around, as we said, the interaction with us. So if we think about a potential delegate on one of our courses, and this is a kind of a very kind of simplified version, just for the sake of explaining the difference. The customer journey, they might interact with us to find some information around the course. They will interact with us around their course booking and payment, and they'll receive their joining instructions, and then they'll enjoy excellent course delivery. And that is a kind of a very kind of simplified end-to-end customer journey. When we talk about the value stream, it tends to be a lot more detailed. It tends to cut across a lot more sections of the organization, because in order for all that to work swimmingly for the customer, behind the scenes, the value stream has lots more involved in it. So this kind of customer will find the information. Typically, is going to find that information off the website, or may kind of receive our newsletter, or might be contacting Charles to have our sales lead to have a conversation about what's available in their particular area. And therefore, in order to deliver value and to make the customer journey great, behind the scenes, there's an awful lot more involved in creating that value stream. So first of all, we actually need to kind of have the product, do the product launch, make sure that information is available, and it's going to be a product that people are going to want to buy. From a marketing perspective, there's some kind of the materials that need to be developed. We need to kind of put that information on the website. Behind the scenes, we also need to make sure that kind of finance have got all of the codes available. So when it comes to booking, that's all done. Product familiarization with the kind of the sales team so they know and understand and can sell it. And from an operations perspective, we need to actually have that scheduled. So whether it be a classroom, the trainer, the materials, we need to make sure that's going to be delivered when that's going to be required. So, you know, what might be a small touch point from the customer, actually the work behind that creates that value is much more in detail. When we go to the course booking and payment, and again, we want our customers to be able to kind of go onto the website, click the purchase and put it in the basket, type in some financial details or request an invoice so the payment takes place easily. From an internal perspective, in order for that to happen, in order to kind of create that value stream to work, we've got lots of work to kind of make sure that maintaining the website, which includes links back to the finance system and the procurement system and the credit card control. From a CRM perspective, any information we get through the booking process has to go into our CRM system. So that's all kind of linked with that, which makes it easy to know kind of the value further on down the line. And from a sales perspective, we also need to make sure that we've got the forecast updated. We continually monitor course profitability to make sure that we've got to have enough delegates to run the course and we're all going to kind of make some money. So, you know, just the kind of that kind of what might look to be a relatively straightforward customer interaction, the value that we have to create behind that is significantly more. So, of course, the customer sits there, receives their joining instructions in a nice envelope, nicely kind of printed materials, hard copy for them to use during the course. But from an organisation perspective, we have to do an awful lot more than that. So obviously we need to kind of produce the materials. Operations have got quite a bit of work to do. So obviously maintaining the delegate register, making sure we know who those course materials have gone out to, make sure we've got the right information, dealing with all of the kind of the postal system, which is not always the kind of the kind of most fun aspect of the role, but also in terms of making sure it's ordered from the printers and we've got the right level of stock, etc. And then when it comes to course delivery, again, the delegate will kind of ship up in the morning, they'll have had all of their Zoom instructions to join. But from an organisation perspective, in order to kind of make that happen, again, from the product portfolio, we've got to make sure we've got all of the materials. So again, we want to make sure that the trainer's got the same materials as the delegates. We need to have a trainer who's capable and available on the day. So make sure we've got them all kind of suitably accredited and certified if relevant. And again, from an operational perspective, making sure we've got kind of all of the kind of the scheduling kind of worked out to be able to deliver. So you'll see the customer journey looks relatively kind of simple. The value stream, in order for that to kind of work well, we have to understand the people, the processes, the technology in order to make that happen for our organisation. And if we want to improve the customer journey, we can improve and do the analysis of that value stream to make things easier and slicker and more effective and more efficient. And typically value streams in organisations cut across kind of siloed deep departments and divisions and groups and teams within the organisation. And what we're finding is that in a lot of organisations now, they're doing their portfolios based on value streams rather than kind of standalone projects linked to kind of individual kind of small sections of the organisations. It's one of the impacts that Agile has had on an organisation's approach to understanding how they improve their offering to their customers. So I don't want to take away kind of John's role on the course because he will explain that in a little bit more detail. Is everybody kind of got an understanding, then a high level understanding is kind of what a value stream might be within their organisation? Any questions? We're not there to kind of, as I say, I'm not here to teach the course. It's really just to get your head around what a value stream is, because it makes the next bit, it gives a little bit more context to the course outline. So it's a 2-day course, and the idea is to look at kind of how value streams can be used to improve the PMO effectiveness. So we're going to be looking at value streams in 2 different perspectives. So firstly, we're going to look at the PMO as the custodian of the project management methodology, and we're going to look at the project delivery framework and how we can use the value stream concepts to make the delivery framework for projects and programs in our organization more effective. So if we look at kind of sorry, I've moved ahead, I forgot, let's do the right so you're up to date with me. There we go, I'm moving the one set of slides and not the other. So the first bit, as I said, is to look at that delivery life cycle, that delivery framework that we use in our organization, and say that is a value stream that adds value to the organization by delivering projects more efficiently and more effectively. So looking and using some of the concepts of value streams, what analysis can we do of our methodology? What are the various kind of components in that? How do they all fit together? How can we map it? And bear in mind that mapping is going to be slightly different from organization to organization. And how can we look at some of the challenge points to make sure projects deliver effectively and efficiently? So perhaps a new way of looking at your project delivery framework. Then the second aspect we're going to look at is to look at value streams and say from a investment management, so portfolio management perspective, how can we use again the value stream concepts and principles to allow us to help the organization identify where the investment should be for the projects and programs. Now, as you know, the PMO doesn't make the decisions, but helps the organization create their portfolio for the planning horizon, whether that be 3, 6, 12, 18 months. And it's about how can we kind of use these value streams processes to make more effective decisions in terms of governance. So really that's what the course is going to be about, and it's covered over 2 days. The first day, John will go through that typical kind of welcome and introduction, but he'll actually kind of go through in a little bit more details about kind of what value streams are, and he'll talk about how value streams are developed and mapped, and how, you know, kind of generically that can be applied. And then he'll also, as we mentioned earlier, he'll look at some of those metrics associated with value streams before actually kind of moving on to how that works within a PMO. So we look at the kind of the idealized value stream, how to make problems visible, how to kind of think about how project delivery can be improved. So again, this is not something we would encourage the PMO just to do in their little kind of office, in their little ivory tower. It really is about engaging with the delivery team and the wider stakeholders to say, if we look at this concept of a value stream in project delivery, how can we then identify some of the key problems which can focus on the areas perhaps that need to change, or we need to have multiple paths through the delivery framework depending on the different types of projects that we're going to undertake. And I think the important thing to recognize is that the concepts of value streams can be applied to both agile and non-agile projects, or whether we want to kind of call them waterfall, but whatever our project delivery capability is, the value streams can be used in that project delivery framework. And then the final session on day 1 is we're going to talk about this concept of the learning PMO. So how do we use the knowledge that we gain as we kind of see projects and watch this kind of value stream in operation? How can we go through continuous improvement to improve the flow, to speed up the flow through this process, to add more value quicker for the organization without losing any of the quality aspects? So day 2, we're going to be looking at the different types of value streams, applying them and thinking about the PMO services. You'll know that there's lots of talk about moving from a support-based PMO to a service-based PMO. And the second day is going to be looking at these PMO service value streams. And then introducing really what's the focus of day 2, which is this concept of lean portfolio management. So how do we support the organization in delivering the right projects and programs by investing in those areas of the organization's value streams to make the kind of give us that lovely phrase, the biggest bang for our buck. And then the final session is on the PMO Kanban. And this is really about applying some of those agile and lean principles to the PMO roadmap in terms of how do we, from a PMO perspective, so rather than just kind of from the delivery framework, but from a PMO perspective, continually improve our operation and effectiveness. So PMO value streams, firstly in terms of the delivery framework, and then secondly in terms of portfolio management, but recognizing that we can apply some of those principles to how the PMO continues to develop. So 2 very full days, and as ever, as we go through the course, it does have a range of exercises that lets you apply the principles so you really kind of get your head around how it works, but also the opportunity to discuss specifically with the trainer how that would work in your organization. So John's well equipped, he's done lots of work in different types of organizations, will be able to answer questions on, you know, I've got a particular situation here, how might this work? How might the metrics apply in this particular division in the organisation, because they've got some idiosyncrasies. We've got some problems with politics in our organisation. Surprise, surprise. How can we kind of communicate this out to the organisation so we get the right level of engagement for the investment in the right areas? So in terms of the actual kind of course itself, it's really aimed at those people who have a leadership role in developing the effectiveness of the PMO. So whether that be a PMO director and you've got an overall view of multiple PMOs across the organisation, or you're helping one particular PMO, whether you're a PMO manager, so you have your own PMO and you're looking at kind of how you can use value streams to improve your particular performance. And based on the portfolio aspect, if it's a portfolio office, I suspect it will be even more relevant. Or we often have this term, the kind of the PMO lead. So where the PMO director perhaps has accountability for the projects as well as the PMO services, the PMO lead is delivering the PMO services out to the customers. So those are the 3 key target audience for this particular course. If you're a senior analyst working in a portfolio office, you may also kind of find that helpful. Or if you're a senior PMO analyst looking to move into a PMO manager or PMO lead role, obviously you're arming yourself in terms of kind of understanding how you might want to run your PMO going forward. So that's a very kind of quick summary of the course. We're running our pilot course. Now, I have to say the course has been through a couple of iterations of development with some of our experienced colleagues to get to where it's at. We'll be running our first pilot course on the 19th and 20th of September. And it's going to be delivered virtually through Zoom by John. Our normal price for the course is £995. As a special pilot course offering, you can book onto that course for £845. So it's a reduced price as we go through that pilot course. Now, it's delivered for the first time. Typically on a pilot course, as I say, it's been through lots of iterations to get to this point, and really it's kind of about getting a feel for the length of the exercises, but John will still be able to cover all of the content and address any problems or questions that you have. So that wasn't quite as long as I thought it would be. Any final questions or anything wants to contribute? Anybody kind of used value streams, want to say, actually, yes, this is going to be really useful, or any questions around the content, what's going to be addressed? You can take yourself off mute, you can put it in chat. Right. Oh, I did see a question there. Matthew's got one there. So does the course cover anything regarding affecting the organisational change that this is going to need? And I think right at the kind of the very beginning, there's going to be a conversation in terms of, as I said, about the kind of engaging with the stakeholders about what this means in terms of how the PMO is going to operate, but also in terms of how the changes are going to be applied as they're identified and addressed through the application of value streams. So yes, it will cover that off, Matthew. It's not going to talk about kind of huge transformational change in organisations, and it's not a 2 days on stakeholder engagement, but it will touch on that at the beginning in terms of how that can be applied in organisations. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think it's also in terms of when we talk about both in the final session of the first day, where we talk about the learning PMO, but also the final session in the second day, where we talk about the PMO Kanban. Again, we'll talk about what the implications are of how fast we can make those improvements and what some of the potential barriers are going to be. So this session is going to be videoed. So if you wanted to kind of watch it again, or if you wanted to kind of ask any further questions, then feel free to get in touch with our team. I thought I'd just give you a quick reminder. We've got courses running ahead through June and July. We've got a couple of our specialist courses, John doing our Lean Agile and Roy Millard doing our assurance courses, with the essentials for managers and directors running through July as well. Anybody who's interested in our course, including this value streams course, if you want to, kind of a little bit more tailored for your organization, any of our courses can be delivered in-house. And for our in-house courses, we're also happy to deliver those face-to-face rather than virtual. And after the course, we're very happy to help embed the principles into your organization, either through support for you individually or you as an organization. So you can find us on telephone, hello@PMO Learning. We'll get back in touch with you. Or if you want to go onto our website, the details of the new course with some further information of the various sections are on there. And I think I put it in there early on, you can contact John Ward via LinkedIn and he can answer any other specific questions as well. Okay, so I think Lindsay's got put one question in the chat about whether we think this is a useful course for PMO practitioners today. Does this look to be give you an additional insight into how you can be more effective as a PMO? Something you've considered? You've got one thumbs up, Lindsay. Oh, there's another one.
No, I got Claire actually answered directly to me and said, yeah, it's much more relevant to how we operate today. Excellent. Interesting, isn't it? The changes that we've been going through as PMO people over the last 10, 15 years, and it doesn't seem to slow up all the different effective ways that we can get better at what we do. So, yeah.
Excellent. Well, as I say, if you've got any questions, do get in touch, and otherwise, hopefully we'll see you in the classroom.